Good evening, board. We gathered some information to discuss the potential criteria for the Elaine Moore Memorial Teacher of the Year Award. The criteria is based on faculty interviews, documented research, and expert advice from Elaine Moore herself. We have 3 points of criteria that we're going to discuss today, which would be how you can teach social and emotional learning and behaviors in a classroom setting, as well as how you can make every student feel successful as well, and how you can ensure the learning material can be applied outside the classroom. Elaine Moore does all of these criteria in each and every teaching setting that she does. For example, she always connects with the students in every way possible she can. And for example, I'm going to tell a story about how I was emotionally connected with a teacher in an outside setting, emotionally and socially. So in 3rd grade, I went to the zoo, and it was a really fun time because every student was connected with all the different animals, and everything was super fun. It was super bright outside, and when we did see an animal that we liked, we had to keep in mind that there was 34 students of us, so we all couldn't rush up to the gate at the same time. So in this case, one student would go up to the teacher and stand up there with her and say one fact about what she liked about the animal, and Miss Moore does that with her students as well. She will bring the student up with her to make the student feel important and to provide a sense of almost a kind of like a teacher aspect, making them feel really important and successful on the field trip setting. So the student will come up and lead with her and make them feel as if they have some sort of empowerment. And today we'll be discussing how you can really teach social emotional learning and behaviors inside the classroom.
So to finish up on what my colleague was saying about social and emotional learning, we can really take that and put it into 5 points. Self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. Self-management really goes into making emotional and behavioral goals to achieve one's goals. So learning how to stay clear-minded, not becoming too emotional or worked up in a situation, really helps students apply it outside of the classroom. We go back to self-awareness, and that's recognizing one's emotional values as one's strengths and limitations. It's okay for our kids to have limitations. They just need to know that it can be worked on, edited, and changed in the future. Responsible decision-making, making ethical and constructive decisions to become a better student. I feel like this is one of the most important of the 5 topics to me personally. Relationship skills, forming positive relationships, working in teams, and delivering effective resolutions to conflicts in the classroom. We all do group work in our classrooms, but I feel like Elaine Moore took it one step further in becoming a real teacher in learning how to form positive relationships with every single student, and also showing that behavior and taking it one step further in showing the students how to develop positive relations and working together as students, not needing the teacher to baby step every single process of the relationship. Social awareness, showing and understanding empathy for others. We see this very well with her students that ended up in the hospital last year. And understanding to show empathy for others while staying professional and also remaining back to clear-mindedness.
So going off what Sadie said before, we're just going to tie this into Elaine Moore and how she really made the students feel successful, emotionally attaching to them as well. So for example, Elaine Moore would always tell her students, it's okay to ask a question. There's no silly question when it comes to education. And she would always make them feel so comfortable in the classroom setting. And how she made them feel comfortable was her voice. Her voice was so soothed and so soft that the students were always able to ask her questions or if they had any concerns with the material. And they were very young, so it was kind of hard for them to confront the teacher about if they needed help with anything, but her voice was reassurance for them that everything was going to be okay and that there was no silly question to ask. So I'm going to tie this into how I interviewed a faculty member, and he taught math, and he always taught the students more knowledge than what he was teaching in the classroom. So they would always feel successful in more classes to come. So for example, with an algebra problem, he would always teach them more further knowledge about that algebra problem, so then in the future classes, they would always have a better understanding when the time comes, and they will always connect that math problem to what was talked about in their previous math class. And so Elaine Moore does that as well in her classroom setting. She always makes them feel successful by making sure they understand the curriculum, making sure they understand that it's okay to ask questions and it's okay to have any concerns. And so tying back with what Sadie said, that she had emotional connection with that teacher, that's what Elaine Moore did as well with her students.
It is widely known that teachers have a responsibility to ensure that the learning material can be applied outside of the classroom. There is a greater impact on students when theory connects with practice. If a student knows for sure what they are learning can apply to the real world, they're much more likely to pay attention and be more engaged while learning. When asked, a faculty member has stated that influential professors from her past helped her relate real-life events into teaching. She recalled a specific incident that was the most challenging for her. On September 11th, 2001, commonly known as 9/11, she was teaching a group of 4th graders the day of the attack. And she had to bring real-life events that the U.S. was now facing into the classroom, trying to explain to 4th graders what had happened to our country. The students had been studying past and previous presidents and the roles of the governments in social studies. She was able to show her how our then current government must react in such travesty and how the reaction would affect students' daily lives and the country's daily lives. Miss Elaine Moore used outside learning strategies to engage her students in the learning. She is known for being able to take students' learning material and apply it to the real world. In fact, Elaine often took her students outside of the classroom and had them experience learning firsthand. Elaine even had her students conduct teaching on their own for one of her students. This is the type of experience students do not forget for the rest of their academic and adult lives. Outside sources back up this claim that educators need to be able to apply classroom learning outside of the classroom by stating, learning does not occur when students think and feel that school is unrelated to their lives. So, what we've talked about today is guidelines and criteria for awarding the Elaine Moore Memorial Teacher of the Year Award for the 2017-2018 school year. We've boiled it down to 3 critical questions that we feel is what should be a requirement for the award. How is this teacher making every single student feel successful by going above and beyond their service? How can you ensure that learning material can be applied outside of the classroom? And how can you teach social and emotional learning and behavior in the classroom so that students not only become successful academically, but also in their adult life? I hate you, kid. Restart.
Just put music over it.
No, it's just,
Can you cut out the
it's
whole
just
sound?
gonna be Kaya's going.
Yeah, we're good to cut, that's fine.
Yeah.
We should put that